everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Slumber Party podcast. I am your co-host, Amanda Jewson, here today with my other co-host, Liza Rinrine. Hello, Liza.
Hey.
Hey. I'm adjusting my mic ever so slightly. Today we are talking about, I have an Instagram account. If you're not following us there, we're at Baby's Best Sleep, BABYS, not BABIES. That's a common thing. Yes, Baby's Best Sleep. And we asked people to reach out with their topics about things that they wanted to talk about. We had quite a few requests for preschool / toddler sleep. And so I'm probably going to use the words toddler and preschool interchangeably because we see a lot of the same behaviors and difficulties, basically 2+. From the time your child has moved from a crib to a bed, we are going to see these types of behaviors. So if you're listening and I say toddler and you have a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old or even a 5-year-old, I do mean you. I am speaking to you. So I wanted to make that clarification. So I'm going to take a look at my question here. The question was, I'll read the two that are pretty similar. So someone says, help, my 4-year-old just started getting up in the night, slept through the night since 6 months. And then we have another question, toddler sleep, dealing with the fear of the dark and sleep resistance with 3-year-olds. So let's jump into this. Now, first, before we do that, Liza, you have a little munchkin around this age, right?
Yes. Yeah. And now that you're actually reading the comment, like you gave me the topic sort of generally, but you read the comment, like, yes, every night my munchkin, like around 2 or 3 a.m., she will scream out for one of the parents to come and cuddle her back to sleep. But by the time we get there, she's back to sleep. But there's that very obvious, like very, very declared statement of like, Mom, Dad, come cuddle me. And by the time we come down to her, she's back to sleep. But it's almost every single night. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah. And I have to make the declaration, and I realize that I don't do this enough because I assume people are listening to this podcast to achieve independent sleep. And so I want to remind everyone that these suggestions are based on the idea that that is what you are hoping for. There is no norm for infant, toddler, preschooler sleep. If Liza, I think that you do cuddle Charlie to sleep. Look at us. Let this be a shoot. Like, Liza is my soul sister, in the words of Vicky Gunvalson, and she cuddles her child to sleep. And look, we can. You're not dating Brooks Ayers, thank God. Like, we don't have to have that conversation.
No, don't.
But I mean, we could have a whole conversation about that. But anyway,
one day we will.
One day we will. We'll have like another podcast called Shit We Wanted to Say on Slumber Party But Couldn't. And we'll just talk about all that stuff. But we can coexist because I don't give a shit about how my friend sleeps because she's showing up. She's well. She's doing things that feel right for her and her family. This isn't impacting anyone. So I don't care. And neither should you. See, like this can happen, everybody. Yes. Anyway, so if you were to want to stop that, this advice is for that. Like if you wanted to stop that because, the waking up once a night is impacting your day. Maybe you have a high stressful job. Maybe you simply don't. Maybe you sit on the couch and you do absolutely jack shit. You have 17 nannies and you just don't want to be up in the middle of the night. That's also okay. So I just want to show all sides of the spectrum. It's all about you because secure attachment is created through psychic energy with your child, right? It's co-regulation. So if you're like, I hate this, your child feels that. If you're like, I'm indifferent, your child also feels that. So it's about showing up truthfully and honestly for yourself. We're 4 minutes and 50 seconds in, and I have said nothing helpful yet so far. But
this is all helpful. Yes.
Okay.
You have to preface
good. Preface, 5 minutes of
Yes.
disclaimers. Okay. So, with that, it sounds like with the intention of these kiddos, and I will speak to your situation if you're okay with that, Liza,
Yes,
in
I
like
want
a no
advice.
judgment way. Okay. So, when this happens, this always happens when kiddos move from the crib to the bed. And they move from the crib to the bed and they have freedom, glorious freedom. They see you getting up and leaving. And also, like, kids have this amazing, imagination about what we're doing that's so fun, when really, like, if it's my house, I'm like cleaning and then I go to bed. It's like, ooh, like, watch me clean. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, they want to get up, they want to get out. This is also when they become like little real people to you, right? We're not dealing with babies anymore. We're dealing with toddlers. We're dealing with people with thoughts and feelings and emotions and preferences. They know that they like this kind of pizza and not. They want pineapple on their pizza. So when all of a sudden they start saying, sit with me, or I want you to cuddle me, or don't go, well, gee whiz, that really pulls on your heartstrings as a parent, right? Now, it's so funny. I feel like I could see myself getting into this, but I got into sleep consulting before I did this. And I worked with so many families who went down the rabbit hole of having to sit with their children to sleep, that I just knew that that wasn't something I wanted to do. Both of my children have requested my presence at sleep. That it hasn't changed. And I'll tell you, like, the easy answer for me that was just such a no go for me. I knew that it wasn't something that I could commit to long term. That night, for sure. And this is what happens is parents will be like, "Of course, I'll just sit with you tonight. Who cares? No big deal. It's tonight." But for the child, they're like, great, this is awesome. They might become behaviorally dependent. So they might now associate their sleep with your presence. So again, this becomes a decision for you. If that's something that you're okay doing, have at her. The risk is obviously that your child will have a partial arousal because in last week's episode, we all wake several times through the night. And if your child senses that you're not there and they can't fall asleep without your presence, they're going to call out like our girl does, Mommy, Daddy, I want you to come downstairs. And by the time you're downstairs, she's asleep, which is great. But for some parents, that might really impact their day. And so they can't do that. So the tricky bit now is, how do I stop doing this thing that I've started? And I am making an assumption based on these questions that that's probably what is happening. And with these babies, these preschoolers or these toddlers, when they are waking up in the middle of the night, they're probably like 99.9 times out of 100 are looking for parental presence. If they are not, it means that there is some sort of reward that the parent is providing in the middle of the night, whether that's like some sort of like interaction or whatever. Either way, um, if you don't want to do those things anymore, you have to stop them. And I made a TikTok and it's on Instagram too, that had a lot of views, called Car Seat Confidence. It's about car seat confidence. And I alluded to this when I talked about my kids asking me if I wanted to sleep with them or if I wanted to sit with them. And the fact of the matter is, because I knew I couldn't commit to that, I just said no. I said, you know what? I know that that's something you want. I hear you. If I sit with you, you're going to want that every day. And that's not something mommy can do. I'm alone a lot as a parent. I have to like be doing shit. So,
Yeah, and you don't need to specify for what your reasons are. And like with my first two children, I never had that. They were both
mhm,
great at falling asleep. And in fact, actually, I think my husband was more attached to having that nighttime routine and a bit of a cuddle with them because he pre-pandemic worked so much outside the home, like had to
mhm,
commute into Toronto, and it was a lot, like that was his
mhm.
bonding time, and he did create a
Yeah.
bit of a dependence with our middle child. And this is like definitely completely brought on by me. Like we both
Mhm,
have this need for that end of night connection. And,
mhm,
like
mhm.
it just happened that I created this little
Yeah.
monster.
Yeah.
this little monster situation. So, and and it's like it was totally conscious that we were doing it. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I had no like I wasn't kidding myself thinking like this is just gonna
Yeah.
be this night tonight. Like I knew what I'm
You're like,
committing
here
to
we
here,
go.
like
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um I think to say a little bit of a safe, like when I do need to leave, like when I want to go out or I have something
Mm-hmm.
going on past
Mm-hmm.
her bedtime, which is very rare, but when um, I do just leave, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't, like nobody then cuddles her. She goes to sleep independently.
That's
So I
amazing.
always want
Mm-hmm.
to know that that is possible. And
Yeah.
I'm sure for my husband or whoever is watching her, for the sitter, it is a little bit tougher because she will call out. But I do like that separation, that she does know that when push comes to
Mm-hmm.
shove, if I do have to leave, she will fall asleep on her own. Like she does not get out of bed.
Yeah.
So there is
Well,
some boundary
actually, yes.
there.
And I was
Yeah,
going to say, what's probably happening there is she's sensing your resoluteness regarding that. Like, this is a non negotiable. If I have to go out, I'm going out. And I
right.
think this is what it comes down to, is that if it, and I'm speaking to my experience with my clients too, like what is a common thread and story. No one calls me in your situation, right? Where they're like,
Right.
hey, can you help
Right.
me? Why? Because you have boundaries and you know how to end it and you're not really freaked out. When people call me, it's because when their child says, I'm afraid when you leave, and the parent goes, oh my God, and now we stay. And now what this
Yeah.
has done is it's accidentally reinforced that this behavior, or the fear, is legitimate. So yeah, you know what? You do have something to be afraid of. So I will sit with you, because there is something scary. And then when we go to leave, they're like, hey, you just said something is scary and now you were leaving. And now we have really big feelings or reactions. Maybe it's not fear. Maybe it's, I'm leaving, and the child goes absolutely crazy, or they're
Yeah.
up and down all night. They're in and out of the parents' room. They're waking up people in the family. And if that's you, generally parents are complying because they're afraid of the really big reaction of the child. Because when we set the boundary, your child will have really big feelings about it. They are no longer in control over a situation that they've had control over. And if you're changing something that they've become used to, that is a stressful experience for them. Now, it doesn't mean we're leaving them or we're abandoning them. It means that we are setting that boundary. And so, generally, when parents who are, and we're not talking about like, generally the parents that I'm speaking to right now are quite comfortable with boundaries. They're comfortable with independent sleep. This isn't a question. But what they're not comfortable with is a sudden huge outburst of emotion or behavior from their child and what to do about it. So then we go online and we read about separation anxiety. We read about anxiety disorders. We read about all of these things, why your child is having a big reaction, when the reality is it's because you're changing a behavior. And
Hmm.
it makes total sense that your child would have a big reaction. And then when we talk about car seat confidence, I talk about all of the ways that we do this every day, that our child has a big reaction and that we respond differently, and therefore their response is different. So I talk about car seats. Anytime, like both of my kids between the ages of 2 and 3 decided one day they don't like car seats, they don't want to be in them, or, strollers, they don't want to be in my stroller, and they freak out. Well, sometimes they don't get a choice, especially with car seats, right? This is a health and safety decision. So we put them in the car seat already, we buckle them up, we pull on the lever to tighten them. So now our child is having a big reaction. And what do? We put restraining devices on them, and then we tighten the restraining devices. Now, if I were to break down that to you, that sounds horrific, but this is a health and safety concern, and we don't bat an eye. Our psychic conscious is telling the child this is not a negotiable thing. This is a health and safety
Hmm.
thing. We are communicating safety to the child in that decision making process. We are communicating when I am confident, you don't have anything to worry about. So oftentimes this really big reaction is a result of us being like, oh shit, am I traumatizing them? Oh my God, what am I doing? Oh my God, they're crying again. Oh my God, put out the fire, put out the fire. The child is like, something's wrong. They're not confident in this decision. I don't
Mm-hmm.
feel safe or secure. And so then we have this like ongoing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So oftentimes, I don't have an easy answer for this. When you stop sleeping with your child, now you can do this many ways. You can do this by sitting next to your child and slowly moving out of the room over anywhere from 7 to 10 days. You can do it that way. You can leave the door open and then have moments. I've talked about this on Renee Rena's podcast, the Mom Room podcast, about the possibility of shutting doors as a symbol of a boundary, but then allowing the child to earn back having the door open. That's an option that
Mm-hmm.
works. Any way you do this, whether you're staying, whether you're leaving, whether you have 10 weeks of prep or no weeks, your child eventually, when you leave the room, is going to be stressed about that, and they will cry or have a temper tantrum about that. How you react to that is the success or the failure of the program.
Mm-hmm.
How
Mm-hmm.
confident, how much you want it, how much it actually matters to you. These are all things. So for some people, it's like, I don't want to do that because it doesn't really matter. Great. I want to go back to my example of my youngest every 3 months will be like, can you sit with me? And I'll be like, no. And then she's like, okay. Because I am car seat confident when it comes to that. She's like, no, we're not.
Yeah.
It's fine. We are not going down that road with her. And I'm not mean about it. And by the way, with all of these interventions, no one is get back to bed. We're not locking
Yeah.
doors. We are simply stating a boundary. I'm not going to sit with you tonight. You are safe. You are okay. If you can't stay in your room, I have to close the door because it's not safe for you to be up and around the house. I'm going to close the door for 1 minute. You can prep them. You can tell them. You can do the play-by-play of what's going to happen.
That's
None of
right.
this is a shock. And then when you're ready, I'm going to open up the door again. Okay? All right. It can be so calm. It can be so loving. It can be so gentle. It does, but you can't control your child's reaction. And in fact, your child's big reaction is so healthy, so cathartic. So, we talk about processing, right? Like having emotions process or experiences process. Children know how to process. We
Mm-hmm.
are a problem. We tell them, don't cry. We tell them, oh gosh, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, don't cry. No, they're processing. It's exactly what they should do. It's super
Yes.
healthy for them. So if we have, you will be
Yeah, it's like a
surprised
little
to know.
workout for their emotion, it's like a little strength training for
And
their
that you
sweet
are
little
right there for
emotions.
them. Yes, and you
Exactly.
don't
You're
have
guiding
they
them
don't
through
have
it.
to be
Yeah.
alone. You don't have to be like, "That's wrong." You can be like, "I know this is really tough for you. This is hard for mommy and daddy too. We don't like seeing you this way, but you're okay and you're safe and I love you." It can be
Mm-hmm.
really, really gentle and lovely. And I think what the irony is of all of this, I don't want to say your child's big emotions are wrong or we're trying to stop them. Some kids, it's also based on temperament, who they are. You know, can I use your child's name? I
Yes.
think we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do.
So
We do.
so
Yes, that's fine.
Charlie, she has a temperament that's so chill. You can be like, Charlie, do this.
Yeah.
She's like, okay. Some kids are not like that. So we have
Yeah.
to honor the child in front of us. If you are saying these things to your child and they're having big reactions, there's a really good chance that once you allow safety for those big feelings and big reactions, they know that they can let it out and be crazy and messy in front of you. You will see
Yeah.
those big outbursts less often because there's not anything left. They've let it all out, right? I can
Yeah.
attest to this with my oldest, that the moment I stop being afraid, the moment I stopped trying to control whether or not these reactions happened, is the moment they stopped. Isn't that interesting?
It's
And
such
so,
great advice. Yeah. It really
sorry, go
is. Like
ahead.
just no, I'm just saying like I'm processing it and just thinking like they they are allowed to have those big reactions, and so then they don't feel like they have to suppress it, when it comes to those times that they need to feel it, like feeling it out loud
Totally.
and feeling it in front of you is like we have this during pickup times from school, right? Like there's
Mm-hmm.
big emotions,
Yes.
especially for the 4-year-old coming
Yep.
home. I feel like there's an entire day's event that happened in that 1 hour that we do the school pickup.
Yep.
And that can be exhausting, but it's like you're their safe place to let that out, right? So,
Yeah, that's exactly it. And that's such a good example too of like other areas we have car seat confidence with. School pickup and drop off, that's a separation. That's also a big stressor for kids. Daycare, bottle feeding, if we're going breast to bottle feeding, where or chest or feeding to bottle feeding, those are stressful situations. We do these things and we don't, or swimming. Another great example. I wanted both my kids to swim. We like my daughter, my youngest daughter, had um like a little. I don't even want to say she slipped on
yep.
the deep part of the pool in front of us. It was nothing. Like, this is why you have to watch your kids in a pool, by the way. But we were there and we picked her up and it was no big deal, but it really spooked her. And for two
Mhm.
years we supported her fear through the pool. It doesn't mean that we say you never go into a pool again or you should never learn how to swim, because that will impact her whole life, right? So
Yeah.
and again, I know this is a little bit different, but this is a decision that has familial safety, meaning that you getting up with your child overnight several times, it does impact you or does impact the family, and no one is happy and everyone's grumbling and you're yelling at your kids. Well, there are risks to that as well. That's not a risk-free decision. And now, again, it's so personal, right? Like, we can't make these blanket statements for everyone. But for us, when it came to the swimming part, that was a familial safety thing. We have a pool. Our daughter needed to learn how to swim. And guess what? We
Mhm.
supported her. She can swim. She's not afraid of the water anymore. She looked to us for that car seat confidence every single time.
Yeah.
And again, you might be listening to this and be like, well, honestly, I don't really want my child to experience that stress because it doesn't really matter to me. There's no safety issues. Great. But your child experiencing that stress is okay and is likely to happen in many other areas throughout their young developmental time.
Mhm. Yeah.
Bam.
No, definitely. I think it's such a good takeaway, having that the courage to encourage your little one to feel that and to leave it
Hmm.
there, right? To
Hmm.
just leave it with
Yeah.
you. And yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have another podcast episode I will try to link where I talk through a step by step process of a kiddo who's getting out of bed frequently. I also encourage you to take a listen to, I think I spoke with Renee for like an hour on this topic. And see if it lands for you, right? Like, if your child is getting up and it's not working for you, people want a magic answer, but the answer is you have to tell them to stop doing that. And there needs to be, if you want to make it fun, have some rewards in the process. Then we have to think about consequences. Oh gosh, there's an account that I follow that had such a great description of this. I should try to find it. But they explained the difference between natural and logical consequences. So, natural consequences are things that kind of happen as a result of not doing anything. So, when my kids say, I'm not cold. I'm not wearing a hat. I say, okay. And then halfway to school, they're like, can I go back and get a hat? I'm like, yeah, that's a natural consequence. But a logical consequence is implemented by a parent, usually for safety concerns. That's when we talk about car seats. You don't get in the car seat, you have a choice to get it on your own. And if you don't, I put you in, and that sucks. So those are logical consequences. And it's okay for you to have logical consequences when there is a family issue at present. So you saying, unfortunately, if you can't stay in your room, I will have to get a gate. I will have to get a door monkey. I will have to close your door, or I will close your door momentarily to represent the boundaries. Those are all okay things. Those are all health and safety things. Your kid doesn't want a bath. You don't stop bathing them. You don't start saying, you know what? It's okay. I respect your choice not to bathe. No, they're going to get sick. They're going to get an infection behind their ear. We don't like, there are lots of ways that our kids do this. Again, if it's something that works for your family, that's what you do. That's the magic answer. If it's not working, you stop allowing them to do it. You implement rewards and consequences. You have car seat confidence, and it's going to be over. And if it's not, you call us.
Yeah. Yeah, you can contact us.
You can contact us. That's what we do. Anything to add to that, Liza?
No, I think you said it all. I mean, that was really good, and that's really good for even like those. It's just like I don't even ever understand. It's like the 4 a.m. scream out, we call it. Like she just like she like bosses us around, and then by the time we wiggle ourselves out of bed and then get our butts down, like we're in the attic, and so we get down to her bedroom, and she's back to sleep. And it's just like I had to navigate an entire set of stairs to.
It's almost like I wonder if she needs to hear you getting out of bed. She's like, good, still gotcha.
That's exactly what I think. I think she's like, oh, she started stomping. I feel safe now. And then she like goes back to sleep. Go. Yeah, it's very annoying. Very annoying. But yeah, we do. I mean, it is sometimes just as simple as just like actually reinforcing it with her. I guess I don't really do that. And now you said that, I'm like, yeah, maybe I should just tell her to quit it.
Yeah, it can be as easy as that. And if she's not doing that, then you can implement some logical consequences to that. And I mean, a natural consequence would be, and this is where we say like short-term pain for long-term gain, is that, Charlie, I'm not coming into your room tonight. When you call out in the morning, I am not coming in. So I want you to know that. I want you to be prepared. And then she might call out for you for a long time. She might wake up the whole house, but then she's going to know that you mean business. So it's that short-term pain for maybe, 1 to 3 days, and then it'll stop because she's like, well, shit, they're not going to come. Yeah. She said, she warned me. She had some pre-repair. She told me, I tested them. They did not come. And it might be days where you'd be like, fine, we start our day at 5. Go downstairs. I'm not cuddling you back to sleep. I'm not like, those are those things that you take the loss to have long-term follow through with your child if it's not something you can do long-term.
Yeah, oh, for sure. She's pushing that boundary. Like there's been many times where I come down and she says, can I come up to your bed? And there's been many times when we said yes, previous, but past a certain size and the way that she sleeps, I was like, no, you really can't. Like you will have to stay here. And it is what it is. And so she knows that that's not an option yet. I don't reinforce it the other way. But like I really haven't really just told her that I really don't like that she yells. So that's on me.
You're like, well, yeah, it's like, woo, there are all of these like things. And on that note, it's actually making me think of a study that I was looking at this morning. I'm opening up because this is honestly what I do. Okay, so in I believe 2022, yes, last year in March, I'm going to go here. So not to suggest that this has anything to do with Charlie, but when people say kids grow out of it, I want to say, yes, that does happen. Kids do, like with certain types of temperaments, they can grow out of these behaviors and just stop on their own. I'm not going to say that doesn't happen. But last year in March, I did a couple of media segments on this as well. They had a fairly large study called Trajectories of Insomnia Symptoms from Childhood through to Young Adult, which basically looked at adults with insomnia. So were there any warning signs that a child would have an adult would have insomnia? And when we looked at these people, we found that they actually started following 502 children around the age of 9, and they followed them right up to 15. So the median age was 24. And basically kids who didn't sleep were adults who didn't sleep. And then they went a little bit farther and they said, okay, well, could this be like a medical issue? Could this be something? And so they went through all of these things. No, these people were fit as a fiddle. What they looked at and what the study author said is that these are largely behavioral issues that can be changed with behavioral interventions. And that is what we do. We do that. What I'm telling you right now, these are called behavioral intervention strategies. And so, and by the way, with Rest My Best, our adult sleep company, this is exactly what we do. We challenge limiting beliefs around sleep. What we're doing when we're sitting with our child, for some children, is we're introducing the belief that they can't fall asleep without a parent. Adults do this all the time. I can't fall asleep unless I'm on my couch. I can't fall asleep unless the TV is on. I can't fall asleep, blah, 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 blah. It's the same thing. So what we have to do is we have to challenge that belief and implement new behaviors. And so to say this, goes away with time, yes, for some, but not for all. And you could be stopping the chain of perpetual insomnia for your child. And if you want that study, you can send me a link or just look up that title. It was just released last year in March 2022.
Cool.
Cool. On that note, it's 31 minutes. I'm going to stop talking at everyone. Any final thoughts, words of wisdom?
No, I'm going to try it and report back.
Okay. All right. All right. Next week.
Talk some sense into her.
Yeah, try it.
I am not giving up the pre-bed cuddle though, unless it becomes a real problem.
Yeah.
We were close to it last night. I had a girls' night and there was a lot of demands.
Of course.
And a lot of negotiating about what her night was going to go like. And I was like, yeah, you're going to have to figure that out with your grandma, and toodaloo.
Bye. Again, if it's a problem is only a problem if it's a problem, right? If it's working, who cares? If it's working, why are you listening?
I'll report on the 4 a.m. wakes for sure.
Okay. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful day wherever you are. If you want more tips and tricks, you can follow us on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, just about anywhere. And I can talk at your face about sleep forever and ever and ever. We have episodes on just about every single sleep topic. If you look through Spotify or iTunes, look up your particular problem and the Slumber Party podcast, I guarantee there's an episode on it already. But if there isn't, we do have a voicemail feature. You can also DM me. You can email me with your sleep topic, and we'd love to talk about it on the show. Have a great day. See you later, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.